Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hello, Derry. That's my Rumpelstiltskin rendition. All right, so it is Friday. I'm excited. The older I get, the more excited I get for Fridays. But every day's great. Every day's fun because every day's different. It's the same, but it's different. I don't know if that makes any sense. Sometimes the motions are the same sometimes, but the consciousness changes, it expands, learning new things, understanding new things about myself, about others. So every day is different, even though it may look the same. So I try to take advantage of every day, the opportunities that are there. That don't always present themselves in physical form, but yet present themselves in physical form, if that makes any sense. I have no gas in my car this morning. I forgot. I didn't even realize I didn't have gas in my car. So I'm going to try to make it as far as I possibly can. And if it's getting close, I'm going to do what Loretta does and say, Jesus, take the wheel. Jesus, take the wheel and see what happens. See if something works. I don't know. We'll see. Oh my gosh, I'm already messy this morning. Let me stop. All right, so this morning I want to talk about spirit life. And I have put this off for a long time because just because I felt uncomfortable talking about it. But the reason why I wanted to talk about it is because yesterday I made a slew of videos. I actually made 2, but I had posted 3 because I hadn't made one the day before. So I posted all 3 yesterday, which was love, truth, and surrender. And I was talking about some things, and those things are related to spirit life. Well, everything that I talk about is basically related to spirit life. It's related to our soul. It's related to every aspect of our existence. So when you hear me talk about things, it's all connected. There isn't anything that isn't connected. So everything that you experience in your physical reality, you are experiencing in the spirit world, and you are experiencing on a soul level. So even though these are all 3 separate things, they are still you, and they are still all tied together. They are all operating as one. So when you have an experience that is a positive, happy, joyful experience, that is being experienced by the spirit body, or your spirit body, and it's also being experienced by your soul. And the same goes for anything that's negative that you experience. Anything that you experience in your physical reality that is negative, you are experiencing in your spirit body, in the spirit world, and you're also experiencing it on a soul level. So everything is connected, this is what, I keep saying this is why I do these videos, but yeah, this is why I do these videos, so people understand themselves better. Because once you understand who and what you are and how you operate, you start to make decisions that are in accordance with that knowledge. Sometimes, not all times, but sometimes. But generally, when you understand that all this is taking place, and what you do now is going to affect your later in the physical, and later in non-physical, and later on a soul level, it's affecting you now. The consequences, or the results, I should say, from everything that you experience will be experienced now and later. So that's why it's so important to know what you are, who you are, your capabilities, what's going on, how you experience things, the results from those experiences, the condition of love in your soul, or the lack of love that you have in your soul, and the love that you do carry in your soul, and how these affect your actions, how they affect your thoughts. So all these different things, they're all you. They're just all you. And a lot of people only want to focus on the physical, and that's fine. But they will eventually learn about their spiritual body. They're going about it a different way. They're going about it in a way that is in succession. So they'll learn about their physical body first, and then they'll learn about their spirit body later. How long? Hey, it's up to them. It's up to each individual as to when they are or they become aware of these things. And so that's why I wanted to talk about this topic of spirit life. And it's not going to be that long. I only got 45 minutes till I get to work. Maybe less. I don't know. So, yeah. So, it's all important. And it's all good. It's all good, baby. It's all good. You know what I'm saying? It's all good, baby. So, yeah. Spirit life. Reminds me of that spirit science on what is it, Facebook or YouTube? Spirit science. So it's spirit life. So as I said in the first video actually of the Understanding Your Soul series, which I believe are 9 parts, 9 or 10 parts, one or the other. I think 9 parts. 8 topics, 9 parts, I think. So the very first one I had talked about how the physical body and the spirit body and the soul are all connected, and how they have different organs, and they have sensories, the same sensories as you progress from the physical body to the spirit body to the soul. So what we experience here in the physical, we have our certain organs that we know we have within our body, and we have our 5 senses that we experience here in the physical world, and the spirit body has those in addition to others. In addition to that, they are heightened, so they're more intense. They're intensified. Everything is intensified in the spirit world. So, and that's actually a good thing, that it is not so intense here on earth. That is really a blessing. I know some people don't see it that way, but it is a true blessing to not have such intensity of feeling, of emotions, of physical feeling, because it is with greater intensity. So there is a certain reduction, I should say, in our capability. So if you look at yourself, and look at your soul as experiencing everything with full intensity, and then you have a layer or a filter over that, which is a spirit body, so it's lessened just a bit, but it's still very strong. And then you put the layer of the physical body on top of that, which really reduces the sensories. So it's kind of like, oh, here's a good one. So it's kind of like, okay, just picture yourself, your body, and you're naked. You have no clothes on whatsoever, and you can feel whatever it is that you feel in physical form. And then you put on a silk shirt and silk bottoms. All right? So it kind of lessens, and just imagine that someone is touching your body through the silk. It's not as intense, but you can still feel it because the material is so sheer and thin. And then next you put on a wool coat, and they try to touch you through the wool coat, and you can still feel the pressure, but it's not as intense. And this is a good example as to how we experience life through these different layers that we have of the spirit body and the physical body. So let's say when your feelings are hurt, your emotions are, or you're experiencing emotions, in your physical body, it's not as intense. You think they hurt, they're very painful, and you're like, oh my gosh, it hurt my feelings, and it may make you cry, and you think that it's just intense. Even if a loved one is lost, it's still not as intense as it would be if you were in just your spirit body without the physical body. So it's just lessened. The senses are not as not responsive, but you know what I'm saying. I can't figure out the word right now, but you know what I mean. I mean, it's just not as intense. So it's a blessing to have this reduction in sensory. because it allows it's how should I put it's a gift, first of all, to have this experience first before you go into the spirit world, because it's like so it's like a baby. As you see a baby come in, and if you remember when you were a baby, some people won't or can't, so won't because there's a lot of hurtful emotions that are associated that, so they won't remember, and some of you can't remember. So let's just picture a child who comes into the world. You see them all the time, babies all over the place. The first thing they want to do is they want to taste everything. They want to touch everything. They want to experience their surroundings, because it's new to them. It's like, wow, what is the sensation of putting something in their mouth, the sensation of touching something, the sensation of smelling something. All these things are new to them, to these souls that just come in, and so it's very foreign. And so this is why they want to explore everything. Not because they're trying to hurt themselves, but they're trying to get a grasp or an understanding of their environment. So they look at everything, because everything is really being seen with new eyes for the first time. And so this is why they're so curious. So the same thing happens when you go over into the spirit world. Just as a baby is exploring their senses for the first time, and they are excited. It's an excitement, but at the same time, before there's excitement, there's a lot of curiosity. So the curiosity is what happens first, and then once they experience it a couple of times, they are able to enjoy the sensation of whatever it is that they're experiencing. So they look at something. If you look at a child, they look at something first, and then they go over to it, and they do whatever it is that they do with it in order to explore it, and then there's a response from that. And at first, it's really not, and it's not a joyful experience just yet. What happens is they do it a couple of times, and then they're like, oh, this is cool. This is what I can do. So this is what happens when you cross over into the spirit world. So as I have said before, you don't die. Your consciousness still remains. So this experience is going to be very new for you. So when you get over there, meaning as soon as you die, you automatically are going to be aware of some senses that you weren't aware of here. Now, some people are aware of the senses in the spirit world, or that the spirit body has. Some of the abilities that you will have, some people have here on earth, but it's only because they are open to that aspect of themselves that already exists. So your spirit body already exists. It's not something that's going to develop once you get to the other side. It's just something that you're going to become aware of when your consciousness is no longer focused through the lens of the physical body. So it will just only be focused through the lens of the spirit body. And so at that point, you're going to become aware of some things. And one of the first things that you're going to become aware of is that you can read the thoughts of others. That is something that is going to become very clear as soon as you cross over. And the thing is, like I said, you're in your spirit body now, but you're just wearing a wool coat, basically. And so your perception is basically the wool coat. You're not seeing the silk clothing that you have under it. You're just focused on this big old heavy thing you got going on. And since this is what everything you're doing is through this wool coat, this is your focus. This is how you're perceiving things. Even though there's more to you, you have your regular body, and you have the silk clothing underneath, and then you have this big old wool coat. And so, because the wool coat doesn't come off, you don't acknowledge that there's something else under. And so this is what's happening with people on the planet right now. They're only aware of their wool coat. They're only aware of their physical body. So This video may go longer than I anticipated, but whatever. You know, I like doing my videos, so it's fun. And so yeah, that's what's happening, is everyone's focusing on their clothing rather than what they really are. So it's just a shell. So in some of you who know a lot about metaphysics, and you've watched things like from Abraham Hicks or Bashar, or the Pleiadians. Barbara Marciniak is one of them. If you want to look her up, you can look up Barbara Marciniak, Pleiadians, and she talks about this stuff as well. So not like I'm explaining it, but she does talk about certain things. That's what I'm just saying. Yeah, that's what's going on. Is there we go, Bradley. There we go. All right. Oh dear. So anyway, that's what people are focused on, is this big old wool coat. So yeah, you'll be able to read thoughts of others when you cross over. Now that you're aware that you're going to be able to read thoughts, there are some restrictions to this. You can only read the thoughts of those. I know. I'm sorry. You can only read thoughts of those who are at your soul condition and lower. So if you are a person who doesn't have a great deal of love in their soul, and you're angry and sad and resentful to certain things, and you just have a lot of stuff going on within you, a lot of emotional injuries, you will only be able to read thoughts of those who are at your soul condition and lower. That's it. You will not be able to read the thoughts of those who are in a higher soul or in a better soul condition, I should say. So those who are in a worsened soul condition than yourself, you can read their thoughts, or you can read the thoughts, and you can read the thoughts of those who have the exact same soul condition as you. So yes, you will be able to read thoughts, and this here's where, you know, this is where life on Earth is important, and a representation of life in the spirit world, because it's just a continuation of life. That's what this, all of this that you're experiencing is life, and is just a continuation of it. So it's no different than spending life or living life here in the physical world. It's no different than living life here in the physical world in the projects, and living the same life in the physical world in a mansion. It's just it's here, it's in one place, it's still your life, but you are experiencing different aspects of this place. So you will experience different aspects of life on the other side of the veil. It's not I don't know what people think or believe is going to happen, or how it's going to be on the other side, but it really is just a continuation of what is going on here. So one of the things about reading people's thoughts is, even though they are talking to you, say you've gotten to the other side, and there's another soul or another person who lives in the spirit world, and they're talking to you, you can hear what they're saying, but you can also read their thoughts at the same time. And so what's going to happen is you're going to realize the hypocrisy that is present. Whereas here, most people aren't able to do that, but yet some people are. So for instance, I myself, I am able to tell when someone is lying. Even though they're telling me something else, even if I don't know them, I know when they're telling me the untruth. I know when that's present. So, but on the other side of the veil, it will be much more. Ooh, the light came on for the for the gas. That is so funny to me. Limitations, they are hilarious to me. Because this stuff this stuff is so stupid. This stuff, look, if you knew, the thing. There's a reason why I laugh at all things that I consider nonsense, all like things that are restrictive, limitations. Oh, they crack me up. Like, I don't laugh things that are considered negative, or or just things that happen that they don't want to happen. I laugh at stuff like that. But when I'm laughing at it, and you'll hear me laugh in my videos, like when I'm talking about Christians and things like that, and some of the things that they do, I'm not laughing at them because they are experiencing the pain, or it's the limitation of all of this stuff. Like, just life in general, all the limitations that are here on this planet. It's funny to me because I don't come from a place of limitation. So it's like, okay, here's a good one. So it's like, for me, because my soul is not originally from this planet. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm not originally from here. My soul origin is not from here, whereas other people have been here for a while. So, but there's a reason why I'm here, and I'm aware of what that reason is. So, my understanding, my perspective, because like I said, your life is your soul. Like, that is your existence. That's who you are. So, who I am before I came here already was. It was already me before I came here into a physical body to have this physical experience. So, I already existed as well, I won't go that far, but I already existed. And so my being, my personality, everything that is me was already in place before I came in here into this incarnation. So when I see things, so the example I was going to give you, so maybe you can have maybe an understanding as to why I laugh. It's like being able to walk, right? Everyone knows how to walk. If you have that ability to walk, everyone knows how to walk. But when you're intoxicated heavily and you can't do a simple thing like walk, it's hilarious. It's like, what is going on? I know how to walk. Why can't I walk? And it's funny to me. So that's the same limitation that I'm experiencing here. And so a lot of the things that I laugh about, especially when I laugh at myself, because you'll hear me laugh about me. Like, I'll just laugh about things that I do because they're silly. It's like, I know better than that. Why can't I do this? This is ridiculous. This doesn't make any sense, but it's funny because I understand why. And it's just a funny experience. It's not like, why can't I do this? I'm so angry I can't do this. It's like, this is why I can't do this, and this is so funny. That's the perspective that I have. So when you hear me laugh about things all the time, it's because I'm laughing at the limitations that are upon me due to being here in physical form. All right. So most people will get frustrated if they don't know. They get frustrated if they can't do things, whereas I laugh because I already know that I should be able to carry this out no problem. This piece of cake, but yet somehow there's certain things that I can't do because of my physical limitations. That's just it. That's just the way it is. All right. So when we cross over, or when you cross over from and you leave this body, you are going to be able to read the thoughts, but you're going to be able to experience the hypocrisy of someone saying something to you but yet having a different thought. You understand? And you'll be able to do this with people on earth. So when you pass over, like right now, you know someone who has passed on. They have died, they have left the physical body, and they're on the other side of the veil. And if you pretended to like someone but you really couldn't stand them, they know that now. They know that. And it's very painful when you realize that someone pretended to be your friend or someone pretended to like you and they never liked you to begin with. Especially if you wanted to get something from them, if you wanted to gain something by their association or by their company, by their acquaintance, then they're going to know that and they're going to feel used, and because they will understand that it was all a big lie. It wasn't true at all. So understand that everything you do here is going to continue on. All the lies that you do here that you think nobody knows about, they will find out in time. It's going to happen. That's why it's best not to lie. It's best to be honest. If you don't like someone here on earth, then let them know, I don't like you and this is why I don't like you. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having feelings about something. There's a reason why you have feelings about it. There's a reason why you dislike people. But you should be honest with yourself and the other person. If you're honest with the other person, you're honest with yourself. And if you're honest with yourself, you're honest with the other person. And this is the importance of truth. This is the importance of love. Because if you live in love, then that's the only thing that can come from it. If you live in truth, that's the only thing that can come from it. You can't get truth out of a lie. You can't get truth out of an error. You can only get more error out of an error. So if you know a truth and you water it down, it is no longer truth. It is an error because it is not truth in its entirety. You've taken something and twisted it, and this is an example of what religions are today. Religions have taken truth and they have stripped away part of it. I don't even know. I'm just gonna go straight. I am not dealing with this bus right now. If you take it like religion, I was talking about religions. If they take truth, but they don't want to give all of the truth, they've already turned it into a lie. They've already turned it into an error. It's not partially true. It's a straight up lie. It's an untruth. It is not true. There's only one truth, an absolute truth. There isn't any variation of truth. It's not like, well, I kind of like you. No, it's like, hey, you don't like this person, and there's a reason why. Don't try to mix the two. You can say, I don't like this person for this reason, but I like this person for that reason. These are completely different things. But what most people do is they mix them together and say, well, I kind of like the person. Well, I kind of like them, so I guess they're okay. But the fact is, there are certain things that you dislike about that person. And that's it. And that should be able to stand on its own. And the things that you like about the person should be able to stand on their own. You understand? So when you're dealing with the person, you're dealing with many facets of that individual. There are certain things that you like, and there are certain things that you don't like. But it's not like you just kind of sort of hate them or kind of sort of like them. No, there are reasons that cause you to not like someone, and there are reasons that cause you to like someone. Like, there are people that I know that there are some things about them that I just don't like. I don't like the dishonesty part. I don't like that stuff. I don't like the manipulation of some of the people that I know, the capability in the things that they carry out. But there are other aspects that I like about them. So, it's just you have to be careful with how you lump everything together. Even though everything is narrowed down to one thing, which is love or the lack of it, there are still many facets of the person and of life, of our existence, that make it all so wonderful. So there are so many things that we can do that are based on love, and there's so many things that we can do that are based on unloving things. But all of it make up the experience, even though it's all narrowed down to loving or unloving. Does it make sense? Because that's the only thing that the soul is really absorbing, is love or the lack of it. That's the pain is coming from the lack of love. So anytime you experience pain, you're experiencing a lack of love. And anytime you're experiencing joy, you're experiencing love. That's what's going on. That's how the soul is interpreting it. So it's kind of like a computer. Yeah, it's kind of like a computer. So your soul is like the computer who only understands ones and zeros, right? Loving or unloving. That's all that it really understands. That's it. Just ones and zeros. That is the basis of all programs, is ones and zeros, off and on, loving or unloving. But when you interact with the interface and everything else that is that we actually interact with, then it's colors, it's the mouse, it's the click this and the type that. You know, it's creating the design with it, but all that's going on in the background is ones and zeros. And that's what's going on with their soul, is we are experiencing loving or unloving things, and that is what creates the condition of the soul. So, yeah. So that's maybe that will help you understand what's going on. So even though things are, it looks like we are doing different things on the computer. So whether we are doing word processing, or like typing a letter in Word, or we are creating a spreadsheet, or we are creating something in Corel, or is it Corel? I think it's Corel, or Photoshop, or some kind of desktop publishing where the graphics are really intense. Even though it looks like all these things are different, the only thing happening in the background is ones and zeros. So, I mean, that's how simple it is. Really, that's how simple it is. But how boring would that be if we only looked at ones and zeros? Do you see? Do you see the grandness of what we are experiencing in physical form? I mean, really, we have trees, we have flowers, we have animals, we have all these different experiences. We can build things, and all it is ones and zeros. Ones and zeros. Our interaction with it is creating ones and zeros. That's it. Is it pleasurable? Is it joyful? Is it hurtful? Is it painful? Do you see? That's it. So simple. But if you don't know this, right? So if you, so a programmer, this is way off topic, but but if you have a programmer, right? Who, oh no, yeah, come on, go around, be smart about it, There we go, yes. So if we are, so a programmer, you take a programmer who knows about the ones and the zeros, right? And so they're able to manipulate and create things in a way that other people can't. Like, they have a better understanding as to why something's happening. So when there's a glitch in the user interface, so when you're working with something, and it's not, you're using a computer and it's not working properly, well, there's something wrong. Well, what's wrong? Well, we have to go into the code and find out what's wrong. But if you don't know how to go into the code and find out what's wrong, so your experience is basically the user interface of the computer, right? And so sometimes things don't happen. Like, dang it, why does this keep happening? Every time I click here, it deletes this, or something happens, or, you know, something negative happens, right? And you don't know what it is. But a programmer would know exactly what it is, and they can go in there and like, this is why that's doing that. So I need to fix this in order to continue doing this, which I want to continue to do. So if someone's trying to do graphic design, right, then they go in and they click that and they draw that and they do all these different things, but something is preventing them from completing their task. It's no different than someone wanting to manifest money. Well, that's the user interface. What you're doing is you're trying to use a computer to, you know, which is what we're interacting with, is user interface. So we're trying to create money, but for some reason it's not working. Well, you have to go into the code and find out why it's not working. Why can't I create this? Same thing, people. Really simple. Everything, and if you really look at it, everything that, ooh, you lost your mind, people. You lost your mind. If you really look at it, everything that is here that we're experiencing is a representation of something that we can't see that's operating. Does that make sense? So when we're looking at a computer, and how it's built and how it functions, it's no different than our soul. If you look at a car, how it's built, how it functions, it's the same thing as our soul, our experience, our spirit body, and our physical body. You have the engine, right? That is a powerhouse for all of it. Then you have the shell. Then you have the inner workings, right? Like that, all the stuff that's under the hood, all, the seats and all that stuff. And then you have the shell that makes everything look pretty. And that's it. And you think, hey, I got a car and it takes me here and it takes me there. And that shell that makes it look pretty is what you look at when you live life. That shell of the car is the shell of your body, or is your body. That's what it is. And so when it doesn't act right, it's because something's going on in the hood, under the hood. You can't see it, but it's there. So if you learn about it, you know exactly what's going on. So, if my car is doing something, if my battery, let's just say my car isn't starting and the battery is not holding a charge. Well, if that's the case, then a couple of things may be going on. So it may be the alternator that's not charging the battery, or it just may be that the battery is just done and it can't hold a charge anymore. So at least I have an idea as to what it could be, and so I would explore these things in order to correct the problem so that I can continue moving forward. And that's no different than your body. So when something's going on within your body, you're going to look at it, you're going to be like, okay, this isn't going on, so it could be this or it could be that. And so you explore what the possibilities could be. All right? And so I'm going to continue this. I'm only on the first things. All right. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye now. Ooh. All right, I'm back. Good afternoon. That's so funny every time I do that. Because I know it's like a split second for you guys. But it was 8 hours for me, so I'm on my way home, and so I thought I would finish this video. And so I talked about I talked about a whole bunch of stuff. But the first thing that I had planned on mentioning that I did actually talk about was that when you cross over, one of the first things that you recognize is that you're able to read thoughts of others. And in addition to that, you're able to communicate your thoughts to others. So there is telepathy that is realized when you cross over to the other side of the veil. And because you can communicate telepathically, this allows those on the other side of the veil to drop. This is how they're able to drop thoughts into the minds of people here on Earth, because they possess that capability to communicate telepathically. They're able to put these thoughts into the minds of people here on Earth, and they don't even know. They believe that it is their own thought that is causing them to do things, and they're doing it without the knowledge of people here on Earth. So it's it's one of the ways that spirits get their addictions met. When you finally die and you cross over and you're experiencing all these different senses for the first time, I mean, we have them, but we don't experience them with intensity. And it's kind of like what I had talked about before. When I was talking about intensity, everything is intensified when you cross over to the other side. Well, we communicate telepathically all the time, and you're aware of it, but you don't believe. Most people don't believe it. They're just like, oh, that's a coincidence. But people, like, for instance, who was I talking to? Oh my gosh. Oh, a friend of mine, I was thinking about him and how he was doing and all. And the thing is, we don't talk on a regular basis. It doesn't happen. So I was thinking about him, wondering what was going on with them and things like that. And then the next thing you know, I get a message on my YouTube page on one of my videos, and it's like, he didn't send me a text message. He sent me a video a message on one of my videos, and I was like, oh. And I didn't tell him that I was thinking about him, but I was like, oh, I already know what that's all about. So we were communicating telepathically. Like, I actually dropped, and this is what I mean by intensity. Since we don't understand what's going on, we get like, this person pops in our mind, right? And so I popped in his mind, and he responded. He's like, oh, huh. And so for whatever reason, I popped in his head. He may have watched one of my videos, and he posted something on it. And it was like, oh, okay. But that's how it happens. Like, I dropped how would I put that? I made him aware of my being. He became aware of my being because I was thinking about him, and he responded. And that's how it works. But it's more clear on the other side. We just think, oh, I was thinking about this person. You popped in my head for no reason. But there was a reason. I was communicating with him. I was thinking about him, what he was doing, things like that. I had visualized him in my head. And that was it. But that was enough to get his attention, and he responded. And this is how it works. But that's how it works here with us. We don't see it quite clearly. This is what I'm talking about. It's not as clear, but it's happening. So even though we don't see our spirit body, it's still working. We are still having the same capabilities. We're just not fully aware of them. And if you're not fully aware of something, if you're not fully aware of something, then how can you improve that sense if you don't use it, if you don't know to exercise it, to strengthen it? How can you? You can't. So for all the people who don't believe in afterlife and all these different things, there's nothing inside of them that's going to even want to try to improve these senses that they have. It's going to be there, but it's just going to be experienced very minimally. So there are people that I know, actually have a family member that is or has been aware of some type of extrasensory capability, and it frightened them, and they shut it down. Like, they will not acknowledge it now. So as we are creators, we either focus on something or we don't focus on something. That's what we do. We can ignore it. That is the gift of being in a human body, in a physical body. That is the gift of being able to turn our head and not see or focus on something if we don't want to. It could be there. It can be there. Just like people have bills. The bills can be there. Now you can acknowledge that they're there, or you can turn your head and not even think about it. But it doesn't change the fact that it's still there. It's still there. So all these people who are mediums and psychics, they don't want to acknowledge this ability that they have. Well, they can ignore it as long as they want here, but when they cross over, they don't have a choice. It's part of who they are. And you know what? People want to be so resistant, you know. They want to be resistant. Then that's your choice. That's everyone's free choice to do that, but it's like, it's futile. Resistance is futile. Really, it is. It's like someone who's black and you don't want to be black anymore. Well, too bad, because you're black. I'm black. I'm part black. I don't have any resistance to it, but there are some people who are black who don't want to be black, and the reason why they don't want to be black is because of the way blacks are treated. So they resist it. That's what they do. And you can do it. You can ignore all you want to. You can put all kind of weaves in your hair and change the texture of your hair and lighten your skin and do this and do that and talk this way and talk that way, but it does not change the fact that you are black. And the same thing for white people. I know someone who's white, pasty white. They can't stand themselves in that regard, and they hate it. And, well, you can hate it, but it don't change the fact that you're white. It doesn't change the fact that you burn when you go into the sun. I mean, these are just things that, you know, people want to ignore and try to trick themselves and make themselves believe that there's something that they're not. This, you know, you can't hide who you are. If you're angry all the time and you try to pretend to be nice, well, that facade can only be held up for so long before your soul peaks and says, "Here I am." And you lash out at someone, and then you're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I don't know what came over me." You came over you. What are you doing? Oh my gosh, I love you guys all. You guys are great. You guys are amazing. You really are. All right, so yeah. Anyway, that's how spirits get their addictions met, is by dropping thoughts into the minds of others. Yeah, and so another thing that you will be aware of when you cross over is that you have the ability to instantly travel anywhere you want. But there are some restrictions on this. There are restrictions all over the place, and it's all dependent upon the condition of your soul, meaning the love that you have within your soul. Look, I just had a conversation with a coworker about this, and it's really difficult for people to understand that what resides in your soul is the only thing that's important. It's hard to understand that here in physical form when everything around you is important. That's physical. For instance, money. Money seems to be very important to people, and it's something that we all need. I do not disagree with this. But there are things within your soul that are non-physical, all these feelings, all these thoughts, all these emotions that are within you, that are keeping money from you. So it's, you know, I was trying to explain, and I was having a difficult time to explain because, and it's difficult to explain something to someone, but he had, you know, the thing is, he has a desire to learn and understand. And that's why I talk with him, and I really appreciate him, because he is a very open-minded individual who he just allows things to come in, and then he makes a decision. You know, he's like, okay, he'll accept the information, not saying that he agrees with it, but he will accept the information, and he has it within his consciousness. And he may not believe whatever it is that I'm saying at the time, but at some point, there's going to be something else that crosses his path that delivers some information to him, and he's going to be able to make that connection. And it may come from someone, and it may just be dropped into his consciousness out of nowhere. It just hits him. It's like, oh my God, I got it. I get it. And you don't even know where it comes from, but it came. Lord, be happy that it came. I'm happy when it comes. I don't care where it comes from. I mean, I'm aware enough to know what is true and what isn't. So when I receive information and it comes from another human being, or when I receive information that's telepathically communicated with me or to me, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I need this. This is what I need, you know, because I understand that it can come from all types of places. So, you know, if you're fortunate enough to have a Zachary, great. If you're fortunate enough to have it dropped in your mind telepathically, great. It doesn't matter how you get it. Just expand. So anyway, you're able to instantly travel based on how you feel. If you feel you want to go to this place, you can go to that place. Oh, but the limitation that I was going to mention. So on Earth, when you pass over, you can go anywhere on Earth. Anywhere. anywhere you want. You want to go visit China? You can go to China. You want to go to India? You can go to India. Russia? It doesn't matter where you want to go. You want to go to the Antarctic? You want to finally see what's over there? You can go over there. That's what you have the ability to do instantly. Boop, like that. You just think about it and you're there. That's it. As far as the spirit, ooh, see, these people over there are doing too much. You don't make no U-turn like that. I guess you make a U-turn like that. Folks are crazy out here. Oh God. Okay, so the other limitation is you can go anywhere in the spirit world, but the only places you're able to go is the level that your soul condition allows you to be. So if you're within the first sphere, and there's levels within the first sphere, if you are just, if you're at a certain level and you want to go to the level above it, you can't. So let's say that you're in the first sphere, and within this first sphere, there are 100 levels, okay? And your soul condition says, based on the love or the lack of love that you have in your soul, you're able to go to level 51 within that first sphere, meaning first dimension, okay? Mind you, there are currently 36 dimensions. So say you're in the first, I know people are like, what? So when you're in the first sphere, and you're at that 51st level within that first sphere, you can only travel anywhere in that sphere and all the ones below it. That's where you're able to instantly transport yourself, or manifest yourself, or however you want to say it, teleportation, whatever you want to call it. That's where you can go. So anywhere within the highest level that you can be in, and all the lower levels, and anywhere on Earth. That's where you'll be able to go. That's it. But you can't go above your soul whatever your soul condition allows. That's it. Can't do it. But you can go all the other places. So I mean, that's fun. Depending on where you are, I guess. So yeah. So yeah, and this is one of the reasons why this is one of the reasons why there are so many earthbound souls, because they don't want to go where they are allowed to go within the spirit world. You see? So if you're in the first sphere and you're at a lower place within the first sphere, you're very limited in terms of what you can do, in terms of the ability you have to manifest. So you can't really manifest anything. So that's why they have these earthbound spirits who are here poking around, attaching themselves to people and influencing them, because that's the only way they can get anything. That's the only way they can feel pleasure, is through you, because they're not in a place where they can feel it firsthand. Do you understand? This is why it's so important. People, this is why it's so important. All this money stuff, it's not important. It's not important. It's like, okay, here's a good example, physical example, since folks like physical examples. It's equivalent to you living in the hood, the projects, whatever, right? And the living conditions aren't great. Your environment is not good. It's not positive. And you know that at some point you're going to college, okay? So, I know they better not be on their phone. Probably so. So, you're going to college, and you can either focus on all the people who are trying to tear you down around you, right? focus on your environment, meaning you still live in the projects and everything like that, and a lot of drugs going on, a lot of gang banging, all these things are going on around you. And you're working, or you're working towards college, you're trying to go to school. So you can either focus on those people who are around you that are focusing on all of their misery, all of the things that keep them in the ghetto, all of the suffering and the pain and suffering that they're experiencing. They're just talking about it. And if you want to go there and say, hey, it's hard, the whole racism thing, if you want to do that, fine. I mean, let's say that's going on too. Now you can focus on that and drop out of school because someone's saying, hey, it doesn't matter, you're not going to get a job, no one's going to hire you, you're not going to make any money, you're always going to do this or do that. Now you can focus on that, or you can focus on your schooling, on what is going to happen once you do obtain your degree and you have the qualifications to get a job, to better your life, to get yourself out of the ghetto, to have a better experience. That's the whole point, right? That's the whole reason why someone goes to school, so that they can have a better experience with their life. That's it. People don't go to school really. If you can just have money, folks, hey, if that was an option, people would just take it. But people go to school to improve their lives. So this is why I say it's so important to have love in your soul, or improve the condition of your soul, because it's improving your quality of life. Life just isn't here on the planet. It's beyond this planet. So after you leave this planet, you're going to experience something. And that something is going to be based on the condition of your soul. Just like the job you get if you're going to school, just like the job you get is going to be based on your qualifications. Do you understand? So your degree that you have is going to be the qualification. So the love in your soul is going to be the qualification that is going to allow you that better life. Now, I only put it that way because of the conversation that I had today. And I just needed to give an example, a physical example, as to why I was saying the things that I was saying about love and why it's so important. Did they fall on the ground? Why it's so important, why it's the only thing that is important. All this other stuff, look, first of all, we didn't come to this planet for this. All these people, you look around, all of these people are distracted by all of these creations. But that is not the reason why we were even put here. So if this isn't the reason why we were put here, why would you focus on it? Well, because it's here. This is the life. This is the life. But it wasn't the life that was intended. That's my point. All this that we see here, the lack, the limitation, that's not what we are here for. That's not what's important. But, good grief. But if you make it important and you make it your only goal or objective or focus, then that will be what's important to you here. But this is not the end, my friend. This isn't the end. This is the beginning. This is the beginning. And it's priming you for what's coming next. So you can prime yourself in a good way, a prepared way, or you can do the bare minimum, and when you get over there, you'll have the bare minimum to work with. That's basically what it is. So, and it's the same thing, like, so look at Earth like, this video is going to be way too long. You can look at life like college, like school, just school, period. Now, you can go to school, and someone else can go to school, and you can focus on, well, no, let's have you be the one who doesn't really focus on school. Let's do that. Let's have you focus on wanting to do other things. So I have a friend, she used to ditch school all the time, and she did never want to go to school. But then there was a person who was there every day, and they made sure that they got as much as they possibly could from the teachers, from the lessons, and understood it. So two people going to school, one person focusing and getting all that they possibly can out of that experience, because school is an experience. And then you have the other person who really didn't get anything out of it, but went the same amount of time. So you're here live on Earth for the same amount of time, but one of them has the knowledge and the information in order to have a wonderful life when they get out of school, versus the person who didn't learn anything, who can't seem to keep a job in the field that they wanted because they don't qualify. Why? Because they don't know enough. They both have a degree that says they went to school, but the degree doesn't say how much they know or learn from school. You see what I'm saying? This is why it's so important, folks. Look, I'm telling you, it's important, very important. So, like I said, oh, okay. So another thing that will be experienced is that you will be able to see the spirit body for the first time. You will be able to see spirit bodies for the first time. And just imagine, the example that I used in the beginning, when a baby comes into the world, or a soul comes into the world and looks through the lens of a human child, everything is new, everything is foreign, and they have to explore it. And when they figure out something, they want to just do it over and over and over and over and over again. Have you watched a child? What? I mean, really, have you really watched a child explore? If they pick up something and they start banging it, they bang, 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 over and over and over and over and over again, until the parent says, stop! Stop doing that! Or they yank it away, or they take up their attention away from it. But this is what's going to happen when you're going to be like a child, really. Experiencing all these new things for the first time. All these new sensations for the first time. And you're... Oh my gosh, I love you guys. And so the thing is, when you see the body for the first time, the spirit body for the first time, what you're going to be able to see are their injuries. I've been saying emotional injuries for a long time. I say we all have emotional injuries, but they are actually in the spirit body. That's where these injuries are, within the spirit body. And they manifest into physical disease. We know them as physical disease, but they're visibly seen in the spirit world, and they show up very vividly in the spirit body. So it's kind of like having what is that, rosacea? I don't know, that skin thing where it discolors and itches, I think, something like that. How you can see that's a similar representation of what they will be able to see, or you will be able to see when you get to the other side. You'll be able to see all of their injuries, all of the things that they have incurred as emotional injuries. You'll be able to see them, and where they are located on the body. And this is when they do this. When you're able to see this, you're also able to see what their addictions are that are associated with that injury. So if, say, someone was, so say you passed over, okay, and you're now looking at all these human beings who are still in physical form. So, all right, we're seeing all the people still here on the earth. You can see their emotional injuries, but you can also see their addictions. So let's say someone has an emotional injury, and one of their addictions that's attached to that most emotional injury is alcohol. So now you know that their addiction is alcohol. So now you can link it, and you basically tap into them and through that emotional injury, because I've said before, this is how they link into you, is through your emotional injuries. So whatever emotional injuries you have, these spirits link into you. So you'll be able to link into them through that emotional injury and induce behavior based on that, because now you're triggering it. So if you have an emotional injury that is matching, because it must match, So if you don't have an emotional injury that is matching to that person's emotional injury, you won't be able to tap into it. But if you both have an emotional injury that is the same, then you'll be able to tap into it. This is the vibrational match in that respect. And you'll be able to induce them to do things. So if alcohol is part of that addiction, or is that addiction, then you can induce them, you can cause them to drink when normally they wouldn't do it. But because you're in there poking around and you're desiring and you're messing with it and you're bringing that up, what they're going to want to do is they're going to want to drink in order to suppress it again. And so you, as a spirit, if you're the one who was doing this, is going to feel the effects of them drinking the alcohol. So there isn't any money and there isn't any alcohol on the other side. So how do you get your addiction met if that's what your addiction is? You get it through tapping into these souls or these people who are still on earth and causing them to do things that they wouldn't normally do in order for you to get your addiction met. This is spirit influence. This is what this is. And see, it's not so foreign when you understand exactly what's happening. But I know before when I was when I was talking about it, just in passing, it's like, all these spirits, and they influence you, like, oh, okay, but you know it how the Christians know it, which is basically the demons are forcing you to do something, but they really don't know how it's working. This is how it works. It's really simple. I mean, this is logic, people. This is physics. This isn't rocket science. You just have to know why and how these things are taking place. And this is how it's taking place. So if you're listening to this video, you know a heck of a lot more than a lot of these people out there who don't know anything. Look, drive around. Just drive around and look at these folks. You can see a clueless person. You can, let me not say you, because I personally, and there's many people out there who can look at someone and just know that they are lost and they don't know a thing. And I'm not just saying physical appearance. There's something that you can see within them, that you can see that this person is lost. They're not even conscious. They're not aware of anything. So anyway, you know more than the average person. Even if you don't believe it, you know more than the average person. And the fact that you're even listening to this, first of all, even if you don't believe it and you're just listening to the video, there's something within you that is intrigued by this, that wants to hear this information. Even though you're not buying into it, you're not sinking your teeth into it, you have it in your consciousness. And let me tell you, that is more than what a lot of people are experiencing or have when they cross over. Because some people don't know anything about this, especially if they are in religions. If they're in religions, they won't. Oh no, you start talking about spirits and anything like that, they click stop and close the app and they go to a different video and then just go listen to a gospel song, whatever. So yeah, that's that. So let's see the next thing I was going to talk about. Yeah, so you're able to see the addictions and all that, and people attach yourself to them and feed off of their feelings and emotions. So what that's called, it's a codependent addiction. So it's you have an addiction and they have an addiction. So you are feeding off of them and they are feeding off of you. So when they drink, they're getting an addiction met and you're getting an addiction met. So it's a codependent addiction is what's going on. So you have them here, you have these friends of yours you guys are codependent, and whether it's in a relationship or a friendship or a mother-daughter relationship or a father, whatever, it doesn't matter. They're just all codependent relationships where you need the other person to feed off of and they feed off of you too. I mean, that's it. So if you like to argue with one another, you guys argue with one another because, hey, that's something that you need to do. You have to vent. So you guys vent on one another and abuse one another. And so that's a codependent relationship. Very simple. That's it. So another thing is being that the spirits are able to see the spirit body and all the addictions that are within it, and they're able to drop thought into your mind or telepathically communicate. So they can, receive and transmit thoughts. Well, even souls, they just don't, since all souls are in different or soul conditions, they will use their free will differently. So those who are in a degraded soul condition, they will use their free will to influence and not respect your free will. But then those who are of a higher soul or a better soul condition, I should say, a higher soul condition of love, they won't do that, but they will see your emotional injuries and try to assist you. So that can be done. They can assist you if you're okay with that, but they won't assist you if you don't want it. They will respect your free will. So, and this is the difference. Oh my gosh, yes. So this sympathetic attraction, where you guys get your addictions met. So, like I said, it could be alcohol, it could be sex, it could be drugs, it could be all of these things. But understand, it's only being done through an emotional injury, and this is what they're playing off of. They're feeding off of your feelings that you get when you do these things. So, since one of them wants to have sex and they love the feeling of sex, well, they'll put that feeling in there, and you're like, oh my God, I'm so horny. Why am I so horny? There's no reason. And there you have it. And then before you know it, you're sleeping with some stranger. And here's the thing. You will know when your sexual encounter is of your own volition or theirs. All right? So you will know this because after you're finished, of how you feel. Like, it's feeling good when you're doing it. Yeah, get it on, baby, get it on. You're feeling it, right? Feels great. But when you're done, that lonely, empty feeling that you have when you're done, that dirty feeling you have when you're done, that lets you know that that wasn't your choice. Another entity, another soul in the spirit world influenced you to do that. That's how you know. That is how you know. So, if you are one of these types of people who like having sex, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. Hey, bang, bang, bang all you want to. That's your business. But if you feel rotten after you're finished, like it wasn't fulfilling, because what you just did was you had sex with another person, and that's supposed to be a loving, fun, enjoyable, pleasurable experience. But if that pleasure isn't felt after you're finished, then it wasn't you. Because you weren't into it to begin with. You were influenced by an outside source or outside force. This is how you know. This is why it's so important to know yourself. This is why it's important to know how your soul works, how you feel, how all of this works. I know some of you think I'm crazy as hell, but I'm telling you, I'm telling you the truth, and you know it. I know you know it. Oh my gosh. Love me or hate me, you're gonna do one or the other, right? Let's see. And this is one of the reasons why it's very difficult for human beings in physical form to give up negative behaviors. So, smoking, drugs, sex, all these different things, eating foods that you know are not good for you. All these different things, it's hard to give it up because you're always being influenced by an outside force. There's always something there that's like you can be doing great, and then all of a sudden this desire to have this, whatever it is that you're having, whether it's a drink or whatever it is, it comes up and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to stop, but you can't stop thinking about it because it's like it just won't go. Well, you're having a little help. You're having a little help. But that should let you know that there's something within you. This is why it's important to know all of this stuff that I'm talking about. It's important to know because now if you know that this is happening, you understand that there is something attached to you, that there is another soul, another spirit that is attached to you, that is trying to get you to do something that you don't want to do for yourself. You don't want to do these things. You know for a fact that these things can result in possible injury in some way, shape, or form. So it lets you know that what is going on within me. What is this addiction attached to in my life? What happened when I was growing up that is caused that I did not deal with? What emotional pain did I suppress and not deal with that is causing this entity to link into me and influence me to do something that I don't want to do? What is that? And see, this is how you use everything around you to your benefit, to your expansion, to your growth. Now you have, now just listening to this video, you know that, oh my gosh, okay, so yeah, these things have been happening and it has been happening like that. Well, what is it? What is it that I have been ignoring this entire time? And here's the thing, once you take care of it, they can no longer link into you. It's done. That connection is severed, and you don't ever have to worry about it again. As long as you continue to experience your emotions as they happen. As long as you continue to suppress emotions, then you're always leaving an opening for spirits to come in and attach to you. That's what you're doing. So if you don't want to be controlled, allow your emotions to flow. If someone hurts your feelings, you allow it to flow. If someone hurts you, allow it to flow. Allow yourself to feel the pain. Don't suppress it. Don't suppress it. That this whole thing about, I'm not going to let anybody see me cry. I'm not going to let anybody see me sweat. Look, those are all fears that are keeping you bogged down. Now, if you didn't have that fear and you allowed it to flow, you wouldn't be controlled by anybody on the planet, meaning in physical form or from the other side of the veil, period. Because they don't have any leverage over you. You let it go. Leverages are things that are held within you that people can use. So don't give anybody anything to use. Let it go. That pain is leverage. All pain is leverage. Let it go. All right? All right. So let's see what's next. Another thing that you will experience is your mind is much more capable within your spirit body. The speed and clarity is enhanced. Oh my God, tremendously. Now, here's the thing. It's already enhanced. It's already there. It's not going to, your spirit body isn't going to receive enhancement. No, it's already enhanced. But your focus isn't through your spirit body right now. Your focus is through the physical body. So your focus is through this heavy wool coat, this layer that is dampening your senses, because that's what these layers do. The spirit body dampens the senses of the soul, and then you have the physical body that dampens the senses. Even that you're getting an upgrade, it's that you're becoming aware of what's already there. All right. So with the mind will process things very quickly, very, very quickly, and you'll understand things with much clarity. This is why you'll understand more of how things work. You will have clarity in terms of how things work. Like, for instance, someone on Earth, they don't understand how if they're not listening to this and they don't know anything about this, they don't understand how they can be influenced by an outside entity. It doesn't make any sense to them. They may not even know it's a thing. But when you get to the other side, you can see that. And now you have clarity as to how all of these things are happening on this planet. Now, that's what you get. You get clarity. You're like, oh, this is what's been going on in the background. Those mother effers. Really? Seriously, that's the kind of clarity you're going to have. Like, you're going to see all the strings being pulled from the other side. So, I know Christians have this thing called, this is the devil's playground, right? And they just pulling the strings. Well, it's really not the devil. It's people like you. People like you. Who are angry and frustrated, have a lot of pain and rage. And when they die, oh yeah, they are free to do whatever they want to do. And they do it. And they control you. and they influence you, and they do all kinds of things, and they make you feel bad. So you can do this and you can do that, pulling your strings left and right. Look, I have them. I acknowledge the ones that are there, and when I get these desires to do something, I'm like, hell no, nope, because I still have emotional injuries. So there are souls on the other side that attempt to get me to do things, and I'm like, nope, that ain't gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Nope. That desire is strong, but nope, it ain't gonna happen. But that's the thing, is I'm set, because I'm aware of it, I can resist it. But what I have to do is try to find out, what is it that they're tapping into? What emotional injury are they tapping into? So it's something that I'm suppressing, that I have not dealt with, and I need to deal with it. And the fact that that they're there trying to pull the strings lets me know that there's something I need to deal with. I need to think about and go back and find out, what is it tied to. But that's the responsibility I have to myself. It's no different than being here in the physical, and you have something going on, and it's like, you can trust the doctor if you want to, but it'd be in your best interest if you learned about what's going on, if you learned about your body, so that you can be your own advocate. You don't leave your life in the hands of another. Never, never, never do that. No. I mean, you can, but my suggestion is, don't do it. Like, when I go to my doctor and they start talking about some BS, I'm like, look, no, well, we want to, you might want to do this, and we have this. I'm like, nope. And I'm glad you told me what the problem was, so now I can go back and find out what the real meaning of that problem is, meaning the spiritual meaning, because every disease, every physical ailment that you experience is related to non-physical. So as soon as someone tells me, or a doctor says that, hey, this is what's going on, or this is elevated, I'm like, okay, now I go back and find out what it is, and I take care of it. Because it has to be something emotional. It has to be. That's the only way. Everything, it starts from the non-physical, so I found out what the non-physical issue is and take care of it. So, all right. So yeah, you get an upgraded brain. So yeah, you get an upgraded mind. For you, it's to upgrade you. So yeah, that's that. Hopefully I'll be able to finish. I'm trying to rush through this. So that means, since there is enhanced clarity of the mind, for the people who have degraded in their soul condition, they're going to have some evil desires, if you will. And those people who have those evil desires are the same ones that have evil desires here. All right? So those who want to cause pain in another, those are the same souls that are on the other side that are wanting to cause pain. All right? So this is, oh Lord, look, y'all better get it together. Y'all might want to listen to this video a couple of times and really let it sink in, okay? So there are people on this planet, like I know someone who has experienced a great deal of pain, and their desire is to have other people suffer, right? Well, that person's gonna be like that when they cross over. That's who they are. You have to make a conscious decision to change, and if you're not making a conscious decision to change here, you ain't gonna make one on the other side until it really gets bad. All right, and there are souls who have been in these lower spheres, in these lower areas, for thousands of years, because the anger is so strong, the rage is so strong, they're not listening to anybody. So on earth, when people are angry and they're frustrated, you cannot talk to them. They're like, F you, get away from me, blah, 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 you a stupid, blah, 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 you don't understand, right? That's what people do when they're angry. Well, that's what they're going to do on the other side. So this is why they can remain there for thousands of years. How many of you have had someone do something to you when they were a child, and you have held them in contempt this entire time? 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years? All the way up to the day you die? Do you see how long you've held on to that? And it's fresh to you. You act like it just happened yesterday. But it happened decades ago. So this is how a soul can remain in a degraded soul condition, because they want to remain there, because they want to hang on to the anger and the rage and the hurt and the pain. They just want to hang on to it. It empowers them. What is this man doing behind me? Oh, he has a heads-up display. That's cool. That man got every gadget in his car. He got all these gadgets. Anyway, the reason why I have brought that up is because they're able to carry out these things with more accuracy and logic. So they're more clever. Their schemes to convince people to do things are much more cleverly formed and put into action than it is here on Earth. Some people are sloppy here with how they try to get people to do things. Like, you have some people who are very manipulative, but there's only, they're kind of rare. People are sloppy when they try to, get back at somebody or try to get what they want. Sometimes, a lot of times they get caught and they can see through their facade. But on the other side, because they understand more clearly, they have a better understanding. They can drum up all these different ideas and ways to get what they want in order, to influence people to do things that they wouldn't normally do. So they can hook into other people and control them that are going to interact with you, and then interact with you and link in with you to try to get you to go along with what they cause the other person to do. Does that make sense? This stuff is crazy, isn't it? Oh my gosh, because I'm listening to what I'm saying, right? And I understand it. But from time to time, I shift back to what or how someone would interpret this if they've never heard it before. And it's like, the facial expressions, everything just comes to me, and it's like, I understand. I get it. I understand. You are loved. You are loved. So, as I've been talking about this stuff, hopefully, maybe you've been picking up that. So, it doesn't matter what we believe here on the planet. It doesn't matter what our beliefs are. What is going to happen is going to happen. You understand? It doesn't matter if you believe you're going to heaven when you die. Because what's going to happen is going to happen despite what you believe. What is what is. The system that's in place is in place. And you will move through the system as the system has intended for you to move. That's it. So if you believe that you are, let's go with the Christian. I love my Christians. So let's say we're Christians. I'm gonna be a Christian right now, okay? All right. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Praise the Lord. I am giving it all up to Jesus. I'm doing all of these things. Why? Because the Bible tells me so. The Bible says to be kind. I'm going to be kind and smile in their face. I'm going to do good deeds. I'm going to do all this stuff. But that bitch over there, I can't stand her. She make me sick. But I'm a smile in her face because the Bible says this is what I'm supposed to do. All right? So you smile in the face and you're like, yeah, hey, how you doing? And oh, yes, whatever it is that you do when you be lying to these people to their faces. And then, but see, that's just it. So you're doing all these things and you're giving a charity or whatever, but you talk to your drug addict brother like a dog. You disrespect other people. You manipulate other people. You say you're going to hell. You say you're going to be condemned. I can't wait till God comes and wipes you from the face of the earth because you're wicked. Understand? This is what resides in your soul. And this is what's going to determine where you end up when you do pass over to the other side. When you become conscious in the spirit world, all that you experience is going to be based on your soul. Not on the deeds, but the motivations that you have within you. So everything that you think about, that you don't show to people. So you want to smile in their face, but you can't stand them, and then you kind of manipulate things so that they have a bad experience. All of that is within your soul. Those devious things are locked within you, and that is going to determine where you go. So it doesn't matter what you believe. What matters is what is locked within your soul, what you have allowed to remain in your soul. And if you're an angry, vengeful person, that means that you have experienced a great deal of pain and you have not dealt with it. It is there and you are not acknowledging it at all. And this is why you want to hurt other people. And so when you cross over, you're going to want to continue to hurt other people. This is what's going on. I'm going to get off here because I don't want to get home too fast. Because I'm not where I need to be on my little thing here. So the motivations and addictions that reside within all of us will dominate our actions when we get to the other side. So don't think it's going to be an easy experience when you get to the other side. I mean, you can think it if you want to, but that's just not what's going to happen. Because the spirits they're drawn to their own emotions with such ferocity. It's like, it's impossible to deny them. Which, again, I go right back to what I said before, that being here is such a gift because you have the ability to deny, to ignore that which dwells within your soul. Now, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I'm saying you have the ability to deal with it when you choose. You understand? So when you're ready to deal with it, you can deal with it. That's the luxury that we have here in physical form. That's the luxury we have. That luxury, it disappears on the other side. So, well, it doesn't fully disappear. Let me explain. So, when you cross over, all of that which you have suppressed is felt with greater intensity. Remember, I said everything is experienced with greater intensity. So it's almost impossible to ignore it because it's so strong. The pain, the hurt is so strong. So what happens? You have to get these addictions met in order to take your mind off of that which is dwelling within your soul. So this is why you influence people to get your addictions met so that you will be able to continue not feeling that pain. This is so you're taking away the free will of others in order for you not to feel your pain. Do you understand? So you're willing to go to great lengths in order to suppress that pain because it's coming up. It's coming up hard and it's coming up fast. And you're like, oh my God, I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel this. But that's what the laws are designed to do. That's what this system is designed to do. To get you to feel that which is unloving within you and deal with it so you can get it out. And all you have to do is cry. Really feel that emotion and let it out. That's the only thing you have to do. But people don't want to feel it. Because they've been conditioned on this planet, first of all, that it's not good to feel pain and all you can do, and all you have to do is just, do some kind of addiction and it's gone. So whether it's watching TV and movies, and it's a distraction. So that's what this planet is based on, is distracting you from yourself, distracting you from all that is making you unhappy. And so since you're unhappy and we're already distracting you from it, now you're going to need more, which is why we have more and more and more on this planet. So you got every freaking doodad and gadget to get people to buy them so that they can focus on that. Because just think about it. Every time you buy something, you get it as brand new, it's shiny, and you're enjoying it. But I'm going to go in here. Yeah, I'm going to go here. So you get every, brand new electronic. And, ooh, I'm going to go over there. So you get all this new stuff, and hold on. I'm trying to look and see. I don't think I've been here. Yes, I have been here, but I haven't been on that side. So you get everything, you get it new, and it only lasts for a little bit. Why am I going in all this dirt? So you get you get the new stuff, and it only the excitement, the satisfaction, I should say, only lasts for a bit. Then it gets old. That's it, and then you need to buy something else. So all this consumerism that we have going on is really to let me go on this side. All of it is really designed to keep you distracted, but it's an addiction. It's an addiction that we have. So if we keep buying and keep buying and keep buying, we'll all constantly be distracted. That's what it is. I wanted to see if there was water in here, but I don't see any water. So I don't know. But anyway, this is Hanson Dam. So yeah, it's just know what that is. Know that everything that is put here for us in this current state of the world that we're in right now is to keep you distracted. Distracted from what? The stuff that I'm talking about. Distracted from you. Distracted from your being, the essence, your essence. That's what all this stuff is meant to do, is to distract you. So you got the football and the basketball and the soccer and the video games and the TV and the this and the that trip. All of it. You're not focusing on yourself. You're focusing on having pleasurable experiences, but you're not really growing in awareness. You understand? So I'm not saying all these things are bad, but in moderation, to where you focus on yourself and then you have some pleasures. You focus on yourself and expand, then you have some pleasures. Not just pleasures all the time, because when you do that, it becomes an addiction. That's what it is. So, yeah, let's see. So yeah, when we, like I said, we experience our emotions. So basically what happens is we're faced with all of the stuff that we didn't want to deal with when we were in physical form. So all these things that you're ignoring by all these addictions that we have, you will be faced with them when you cross over. All right? And this is why development in love is so important. Development in love is so important. Now, what I mean by development in love, in regards to yourself, if you want to have or increase or further your development in love and increase your love increase love within your soul, then you're going to love yourself, which means you're not going to allow all these painful things to reside within you. You get it? So as you love yourself, you deal with these things that are causing you harm. So all these unloving things that you have within you are causing law of attraction to bring you things that you don't want to experience. So all of these negative things that you're experiencing is being brought to you, delivered to you by the way of law of attraction. And that is responding to all the emotional injuries that you have within your soul, or all the emotional unloving things that you are keeping within your soul. So if you love yourself, you deal with these problems and you let it flow. You let it go. Like shit. You take a crap and you let it go. And so it doesn't bother you. Now you not go take a poop for a while and see how you feel. You feel pretty awful. But as soon as you let it go, all this, it's crap. It's all crap, and you got to let it go. You really got to let it go. So let it go. So develop your awareness of your spirit body, your senses, your soul senses, while we're here on earth. So by the time you do die, you have a better understanding as to what's going on. You won't be confused. You'll be in a better state where you're able to enjoy and not be so miserable. Because a lot of people degrade even further when they pass over. Why? Because now they're faced with all the things that they didn't want to deal with. And now they're really messed up. Because that's all they can focus on. Because it's so intense. So, hey, do it while we're here. Do it while we're here. Another thing that is that you will notice when you cross over is your eyesight will be enhanced. So you will not be limited like we are now with our physical eyes. Since we won't have this limitation of the physical body, we will be able to see more, and we'll be able to see farther. So you'll be able to see ultraviolet light and infrared light, whereas now we can't see that. In order to see it, like, it's there, but in order to see it, we need instruments, because our physical apparatus, the physical body, is not able to see that light. All right. So as soon as you shed this body, you are going to experience more of you. That's what's going to happen, is you're going to experience more of you. But as you learn about yourself, you're preparing yourself when you do experience more of yourself. And you, like I said, you won't be confused. You just won't be confused. You're like, okay, I'm ready for this. I knew this was coming. This is freaking awesome. And if you're prepared and you don't have these emotional injuries, now you can really enjoy life. You can really enjoy life. So life can be better or it can be worse, but it really depends on your soul condition. So another thing that's going to happen is you're going to be able to see another spirit as a solid. So someone who is in a physical, someone who is also residing there in the spirit world, you'll be able to see them as a solid. And the reason why that is because you're in a different dimension. So here we're what we would call the third dimension. But as you cross over, it's a totally different dimension. So we see ourselves as solid, right? But you wouldn't see a spirit as solid. That's because they're residing in a different dimension. But other beings see themselves as solids. So just as I'm tapping my arm, you'll be able to tap the arm of someone else who is also there with you. Does that make sense? So, like I said, it's a continuation of life. It's just not in this dimension. Does that make sense? Because this body, this physical body, does not reside in that dimension. It doesn't reside in that realm. So that's why it's just separate. It's separate, but it's separate on purpose. It's supposed to be like this. It's supposed to be like this. It's like we're children, and we're kind of protected in a way, because yes, we are being influenced, but only to a certain extent. Like, even though we're able to be influenced by outside sources, we still have the will to resist that. That is the power that we have. We can say, yeah, you're trying to do that from the outside, but look, that ain't happening. Like I told you, I do know when I'm trying to, or when a spirit is trying to get me to do something that I don't want to do. And I'm like, that ain't gonna happen. Why? Because I have the power here. I am in physical form. Do you understand? You are the boss here. Be the boss. Don't let someone else be the boss. They're not the boss of you. You better be the boss. Bossy. So yeah. And I already talked about there will be less capacity to suppress your emotions. So, you know, that, like I said before, your emotions of anger and rage will be front and center. And you won't be able to deny that. You just won't be able to deny it at all. So, like I said, those entities who desire to harm and kill here will be the ones that are going to be desiring to harm and kill when they cross over. And the reason why it's going to be so intensified is because these are all the things that they have been trying to suppress, and it's been like peeking out. And now when they cross over, it's going to be very difficult to suppress it. It was difficult to suppress it here, and it's really going to be difficult to suppress it there, because it's going to be felt with such intensity. And so that's how this is why they influence people on Earth. This is why we have a lot of people who want to harm and murder, because they're no longer limited by the laws of this land. So we here, people want to do all sorts of things to one another. Like, oh, I punched that so-and-so in the face. But they don't do it because they don't want to go to jail. You understand? It changes their experience here on Earth, so they don't do it. But they don't have that limitation they don't have that limitation on the other side. So they can get you to do something. They're like, yeah, remember this? And, you know, whatever. Or if someone has a thing towards men, if a woman hates men, then they will influence someone to do something to harm another man just because they can't stand them. Isn't no different. So if someone hates gays and they die and they still hate gays, then they'll influence someone to harm a gay, someone who is gay. So that's just how it works. So don't think that, it's going to be, all roses on the other side. Well, the only way it's going to be roses on the other side is if you have love in your heart, love in your soul. So, that's just the way it is. But yeah, you're no longer limited by the laws of this land because you're not on this land anymore. You're not governed by it. They can't put you in jail because they can't see you. So, the thing is, think about it. Think about this, because most people want to do things that are unloving, or like they'll take something that is not theirs. Like, let's say they go to the store and they forgot to pay for something and they're like, oh my gosh, let's hurry up and get out of here. Well, that is an unloving thing to do. It's very dishonest. And now let's say there was a cop or a security guard standing and they were looking at him. Well, they would say, oh, I forgot to pay for this, and they'll do it. But the only reason why they're doing it is because there's someone there to put them in check. There's a consequence to their action if the law is enforced. And this is why people are afraid to do things that they really want to do to people. So as people are angry, they want to, fight and punch them in the face. But most people will say, don't do that because, don't do that to your life because you'll get sent to jail, blah, 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 blah. And then, don't kill anybody because then you'll be in prison and then you won't have any real life. So this is the thing. They don't have those limitations anymore. So this is why they're like carte blanche. They do whatever they want to do, and they influence people, and they do all kinds of harmful things. This is why you have to resist these urges when you have them. One, because you don't know, if you're not aware of yourself, you don't know when you're being influenced to do something like that. And if you have a lot of rage within you, that's the only way that's going to happen. So for myself, I wouldn't be able to murder anyone because I really don't feel I have anything that kind of hatred within me that would even cause something or someone who cause some spirit to link into me to do that, because there's no vibrational match, right? So yeah. So let's see. Let's see. And so, okay, so usually that kind of thing happens for all these gnats outside. These things happen with like I said, where there's recognition that there aren't any limits anymore. That happens for about 10 to 20 years or so. And it's kind of like it's just like a kid exploring something for the first time. Like when they do it, it's so cool that they're free to do it. Like a teenager, all right? A teenager wants to drive, but yet they're not of age yet. They're only 13, and they have to wait until they're 16 before they can do it. So they're looking forward to it. They're looking forward to it. But when they get behind that wheel, they don't ever want to be home. They want to drive all over the place for no apparent reason. They just want to be in the car with their friends. Why? Because they can. There's no real destination. It's just because they can. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So this is how you're going to experience things when you cross over. Just because you can, you're going to do it. Why? Because you can. That's just it. You can. So if you don't have any self-regulation, and generally if you have a degraded soul, you're not going to have any kind of regulation of self. So only those who have love in their heart will regulate themselves, because they're operating on a different cadence. So they're not, if they don't have unloving things within their soul, then they're not going to want to do unloving things. They're not going to want to do wrong things. They're not going to want to impede someone else from doing something. They're not going to want to take away someone else's free will and insert their own will upon another person. They're not going to do that. So again, this is why it's so important to know your soul condition and work on your soul condition. Look, people, you have time. You have time. You have time. Well, some of you have time. Some of you have much time at all. So yeah, anyway, let's see what's next. So an example of people who, so let's take a parent as an example. Let's say that a parent wants all these loving things for their children, but they could care less what happened to anybody else's child. Okay? That is a representation of what resides within their soul. This is why I said it doesn't matter what you believe. What's in your soul is what counts. So if you would do anything, if you see someone about to hurt your child, or you see a child about to hurt themselves, and you don't say anything, and you're like, oh, she's gonna fall down the thing and da-da-da-da-da, right? Hurt themselves. And you don't say anything, maybe you don't alert the mother of that child, but you see yours and you run to get them before they roll down the hill. That's a difference. That means that you're operating from a selfish place, meaning you only care about things that are in relation to you, that you believe have something to do with you, but you could give a shit less about anybody else. Now this is within your soul, and most people don't understand this, that it's subtle. It can be that subtle. And you're like, well, that's not my child. But what we're talking about is love for another human being. That's what we're talking about. See, the thing is, people understand life through the lens of the physical, how we do things here in the physical. So it's the norm to not get involved. Now it's the norm. It wasn't always like this, but it's the norm now to not be involved with anybody around us. So if somebody is having a difficult time, we just look at them suffer and have a difficult time. If we see someone in a wheelchair and, they're kind of struggling getting up the hill, most people just, oh, let's go. That's them doing their own thing. Whereas someone who has love in their heart, true love in their heart, they will stop, see that someone is suffering and struggling, and ask, can I help you? Do you need some assistance? And they can say no. But that's not what's important. What's important is that you saw someone suffering or struggling, and you stopped to see if they needed assistance, to see if they needed help. Now, by asking them if you need help, what you're doing is you're recognizing their free will to either accept or reject your help. All right? So let's take the same situation and say, okay, people are looking, maybe I should ask if this person needs help so I don't look like an asshole. Well, if your motivation is based on what someone else is going to think of you, again, that is a selfish place you're coming from. You're not coming from an authentic place of love. You're doing it so that you don't look a certain way. You're not doing it to help the person. Does that understand? Do you understand that? So some people do things because they say, well, it's the right thing to do. Even though they didn't want to do it, but they didn't want to look bad in front of anybody else that's around them, so they offered the help. Well, that's coming from a selfish place. It's not coming from an authentic place of love, an authentic place, caring, a concern for another human being. You understand? So it can be really tricky if you start, slicing and dicing all this stuff. And it's like, well, I did it to help them, but why did you do it to help them? Did you do it for yourself, or did you do it because you really felt that person needed some help? Yeah, okay, whatever. I'm going to leave it there on that. So I already talked about that. No money, no alcohol. Some of the things that are happening right now in this new spiritual movement, which is also a sexual movement. Some of these spiritual things that are going on, there's these retreats that happen, and they go out into the jungle, in the woods, or the Amazon, or wherever they take these people, and they believe they're being spiritual, and they're sitting Indian style, and they're like, and they're doing their ohms and all that stuff, and they're like, yes, and it's about love and all these different things, and hi brother, and we are one. All right, you have these movements, and within some of these spiritual movements, they're very sexual. Like one person will sleep with everyone else because it's love and it's passionate and because they love one another. Now, a lot of these movements are being driven by spirits on the other side of the veil. Because it doesn't matter that you're pretending to be loving and you're doing things to be loving and you're wearing hippie colors and you're doing this and you got your yoga mats and all these different things that people identify as being one with whatever. It doesn't matter those things that you do. If you are suppressing emotional injuries, if you have not dealt with them, they are still there. And that means that the spirits on the other side are linking into you. And if they have a sexual desire, they're going to use this situation to get you to have sex with multiple people so that they can get their fix. That's it. And so, like, these people are really having, like, what a normal person, I hate to use the word normal, but what a normal person would identify her as an orgy is what these sexual spiritual movements are doing. Out there doing ayahuasca and whatever else they're doing out there. I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying the ones that do have this type of thing, it's no different. It's no different than these pedophilia rings that they have, these sex rings that they have going on with these politicians. These politicians are being driven to do these things by these spirits on the other side of the veil. They're influencing them to do these things with little boys and little girls and all this different stuff. All this Pizzagate thing that just came out, all this is being influenced by spirits on the other side of the veil who are in a very darkened soul condition. That's what's happening. So understand, this stuff is real. It's not fake. And if you don't get your stuff together, if people don't get themselves together, then they're going to be part of it. So the very thing that they don't want to be a part of, they will end up being a part of. Why? Well, because they use their mind to trick themselves, to tell themselves that they don't have anything to do with that, because that's not what they're doing right now. But what matters is what resides within your soul. And if you're suppressing things that reside in your soul and you don't know that they're there, oh my gosh. So, it's all about choices. Good, bad, positive, negative. It will always come down to our free will. That's what everything comes down to, is our choice to engage and not engage. To engage in acts, to not engage in acts, to engage in releasing our pain or engaging in suppressing our pain, to engage in anger, to not engage in anger. All of these things are choices. Your choices. Our choices. The state of the world right now is based on our choice. We are all playing a part in this. All of us are playing a part in this. And most people will say, well, the world is this and the world is that. Well, you are part of the world as much as you like to distance yourself from it. You are here. Hello. Yeah. So, the thing is, if people think that things can't change, then people won't change. I mean, really think about it. I have family members who will not change their ways at all, but they are quick to condemn others. Oh yeah, they are quick to condemn them oh my gosh, with the quickness. So, these people out here, they're wicked. The people of the world. I come from a Jehovah's Witness family, so this is the vocabulary that they use, the verbiage that they use. If you're not a Jehovah's Witness, then you are people of the world. That's what you are. So if you're not in the religion, you are wicked and worldly. Now, these people who are condemning others for being wicked and worldly are doing drugs, they're drinking, they're condemning, they're manipulating, they're beating their children, they're cussing them out. Come on. Where there is no separation. You are part of this world. And that which you condemn, you are. That which you condemn, you are. But if you don't have any self-reflection, you won't see it. You won't see it. You better quit throwing them stones living in that glass house. So, if nobody does things to improve themselves, then it's like only people who believe change is possible attempt change. That's it. People who think that things will never change, never change. They're like, what's the point? Things aren't going to change. And so they don't do anything. And so they become that which they are condemning because they're not changing. You can't condemn someone and also be what you're condemning and be better than. No, it don't work like that. And, you know, the thing is like, whatever. It is what it is. But, so yeah, that's Spirit Life. Hopefully this video isn't too long and I can upload it. But yeah, that's what Spirit Life is. Part of it. That is not all of it. That's just, I mean, I just can't make a video that long. But you are going to experience some things, but this is enough to get you to think, to get you to understand that it is so important as to what you do right now while you're here on this planet, because it really is the determining factor of where you will end up on the other side. All right? So remember, you are loved, you are loved, you are loved, and I will talk to you guys another time. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye now.